Am I the idiot for going on a vacation with my wife's family instead of my own? Background: my family has always been well off, and by that, I mean like we would take family vacations 2 to 3 times per year. It's still like that now, but I've noticed a difference in how my family acts now that my 27 female wife, 24 female, and I are married. About 3 weeks ago, my dad booked a trip to Italy. Everyone was excited. The family group chat was lit up for days following the announcement. I called my dad and talked to him for a while, and eventually I thanked him for including my wife, who'd always felt left out. There was a slight pause, and he told me that he booked the rest of the available seats on that particular flight, and there was only enough for him, my mother, grandparents, my sister plus her husband, and me. He booked it without even taking my wife into consideration. Now I know that a lot of people would think that it was just a mistake, but I don't think so given the fact that my wife has been excluded in other ways before. And if it were a mistake, he'd do everything he could to change it before even announcing the vacation. My heart sank. I looked at my wife, who could tell something was off, and I told my dad to just give my seat to someone else because if she wasn't included, I wasn't going. In the past, I was able to include my wife myself, but I was tired of us being singled out. They never did that to my sister and her husband. They've always included them as a couple. But when it comes to my wife and I, we've always had to figure our own way into the mix as if we weren't to be taken seriously. I'm not doing that now, and I drew the hard line in the sand this time. This man had the audacity to say that her and I could book our own flight and just, meet them there. I simply said absolutely not, then hung up. Needless to say, my wife was in tears. She was upset, but she was glad that I was sticking by her. A couple of days went by and we decided to go on our own vacation to a much humbler location, large rental cabin, with her family, who are all downright amazing. Well, my family found out and they have not stopped blowing up my phone. My mom called me one night during all this and said that I was being unreasonable and that there's no way I couldn't just book a separate flight and instead book an entirely different vacation with her family. I explained to her that that wasn't the point. That the point was that they have excluded my wife from every family-related event ever since we got married, which always put me in the position to fix it. My mom basically called me crazy and that I was overthinking a simple mistake on my dad's part. For some reason, I'm starting to think that maybe I am overthinking it and that I should just talk with my dad to see if excluding my wife was intentional, which was another point my mom brought up. Am I the idiot? Edit. Wow, thank you so much for the overwhelming support. We went to bed and then woke up to almost 200 notifications. That's crazy. My wife and I sat down a couple of hours ago and had a discussion about what our next step should be. We've both agreed that we're going to have a family meeting with my family this Monday and confront them head on. We feel that this is the best way to handle this situation, and we honestly just need answers directly from them. As for the comments, a lot of you brought up gaslighting and how it causes rifts in families, so we're going to learn more about it to better protect ourselves. I made a vow to my wife when we got married that I'd put her first and make her my priority, and I'm sticking to it. Again, thank you so much for all of your support, and hopefully I can make an update post to fill you guys in on everything. Greatest wishes. Update. First off, thank you all for the positivity. It's been amazing seeing so much support. We didn't post an update yesterday since it was Valentine's Day, so we're posting it today. We had a family meeting at our house on Monday, and it was interesting. I started with reminding my dad what he did, how it matched up to all the other times, how it made her and I feel, and how his and my mom's reactions made us feel. I told him that my wife is my everything and what we do together. Our marriage is just as valid. You either want us in your life or you don't, and lately your actions have told us the latter. Then, I brought up gaslighting. We did some digging the previous night, watched videos and read articles to better understand it. I explained to them what it was, how they did it, and how it made us feel. My conclusion was my reasoning for planning the separate vacation with my wife's family. My sister started crying. She apologized for not saying anything and not paying attention. Her husband was upset as well. My sister said, "You have to book a different flight." Dad, to which I pointed out that it was too late. Our vacation was already booked and we couldn't bail on it. My sister said, "Well, then we're not going to Italy, then. You two, Mom and Dad, can go, but we're not." I feel horrible now. Cue argument between parents and my sister. My wife and I sat there with our mouths hung open until my sister plus her husband got up and left. My suspicions were right. The reason why my wife and I were being treated unfairly was because of inheritance fears. Their explanation was that they didn't want inheritance getting into the wrong hands, so they wanted to dote on my sister plus her husband to ensure that it won't. Their actual words. That right there confirmed everything, because they basically said, "Yes, we treat your sister plus her husband better, and we're driving it home with the inheritance." It ended with my parents leaving angry, not at their actions, but the fact that they were getting called out. From this point on, we will be going low contact with my parents and maybe try to amend things between my sister plus her husband. We will not attend gatherings, events if both of us feel excluded. We will demand that we be treated just as seriously. We now know our boundaries and we will set them. It was a very heartbreaking experience and we were disgusted at the whole thing. We still are. Right now, we just have to take this time to move forward. I doubt we'll be able to make any more updates beyond this, but again, we wanted to thank you all for the advice, love, and support. We truly appreciate it. This was a throwaway, but I think I'm going to keep this account up but just not save the login info. Thank you so much and best wishes. Not the idiot. I don't even understand the inheritance thing. Where are they worried it will go? Whose hands are they defining as the wrong hands? And do they not understand that they can arrange their wills as they like? And that has nothing to do with how they book vacations while they are alive. Even if there are elements of the estate they cannot fully control, they won't be able to change those by refusing to book your wife a flight to join you all on vacation. Not the idiot. I'm sorry your parents are so terrible. It's always so sad when parents consider things like inheritance or the family name to be more important than their children. But I'm glad to hear that you still have a friend in your sister and her husband. Best of luck with everything in the future. Are the parents playing mind games? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for forcing my stepson to respect me? I, male 47, have a stepson, male 16, who for the purposes of this post, will call T. I've been married to my wife, female 48, for 2 years. We have 2 daughters, female 7 and female 9, with my ex. Since the day T moved into my house he has been nothing but disrespectful. I understand that change, especially change this drastic, moving, getting new siblings, a new parent, is hard for a kid, but some of the stuff he does just crosses a line. For example, I transferred him to a really great private high school when he moved in because I wanted him to have the best opportunities. He always complains that he doesn't like his new classmates, that the school is too far away, it's 15 minutes further than his old school, which is practically nothing, and that he doesn't like the environment. He doesn't understand that later he will thank me for this. I would have killed for an opportunity like this at his age. Additionally, he always breaks rules we have set in place. I have asked him to surrender his phone to the living room at 9 p.m. to have some family time, but he says he wants to talk to his old friends. He constantly claims not to like the food his mother or I make even when he hasn't tried it. His mother and I try to have a date night once or twice a week and he always claims he is too busy to watch his stepsisters. We have asked him repeatedly for the passwords to his social media accounts and he refuses to hand them over, etc. I'm sick of the disrespect in my own house, so I set some boundaries. Either he starts treating me with respect and listening to me, or he can find somewhere else to live. Obviously I wouldn't really kick him out, but I'm hoping this scares some sense into him. My wife, however, said I took it too far and needed to apologize and tell him I wasn't serious. I feel like this will undermine my authority though. Am I the idiot? Edit. I just want to clarify a few things because they seem to be causing confusion in the comments. He did not change schools when he was 16. We had him change when he was 14, when he moved into my house, about halfway through his first year of high school. Also, he did know about the change, we talked to him about it beforehand. He wasn't excited, but he did know that he would be changing schools. Update 1. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to comment. And thank you further to the people who have offered helpful advice. I didn't come here to be vindicated. I came to find out if I was doing everything I could for my stepson, and clearly I am not. I am going to try to fix what I have done wrong. I'll offer him the option to switch back schools, although I understand that it might be too late, and I will drastically ease up on the restrictions that we have been set in place. Furthermore, I am going to sit down and apologize. I want him to know he is cared for and that I was wrong. Forgive me for any mistakes. I'm a long-time lurker who made an account specifically to ask about this issue. Update 2. I've had a few people ask for an update. But first, I wanted to clear up one thing. Many people assumed that I took an underprivileged kid and put him in a school full of rich kids. That couldn't be further from the truth. Before we married, he and his mother were very well off. We both have really well-paying jobs. The only reason he was in a public school was because the schools in our area are really great. The only reason he switched to the private school is because it is a STEM school and I thought that would be beneficial to him. Now on to the update. After reading the comments telling me how horrible of a stepfather I was, I felt sick. This may seem unbelievable, but I was genuinely trying to do right by him and I was beside myself realizing that I did more harm than good. My stepson never knew his father, and I jumped at the chance to have that special father-son bond with him. I eased up on many of the restrictions I placed. He no longer has to surrender his phone, and while we still do have family time, it's about once a week instead of every night. He no longer has a bedtime, and while his mom follows him on his socials, I do not. I no longer demand these passwords for anything. The only time I have asked him to babysit is in the case of an emergency, but surprisingly, now that I've stopped, he's been offering to babysit every once in a while. As for the school issue, he is still at the school. We switched him too. We had many long talks about this very issue and he ultimately decided to finish out his high school career at the school because, while he missed his friends, he was able to recognize that this new school offered him the best opportunity to get into the college he really wants to attend. Since all of this, the relationship between my stepson and myself has drastically improved. For his 17th birthday we offered to get him a car and he and I had a really nice time picking out the right one. I've taken him to a few basketball games which he loves, and I've enjoyed learning about the sport from him. He actually got a girlfriend and came to me for advice about dating, which is not something that would have happened before. I will say this, I am blessed with an incredibly smart, kind and compassionate stepson. Other kids may not have been so forgiving, and rightfully so. I urge other stepparents out there to really listen to their stepchildren instead of automatically trying to take over. You may not be as lucky as I was. Not the idiot. Growth. Learning from your mistakes. Am I really on? Am I the idiot? That is an amazing update. I think you two are going to have a great father-son relationship. That is awesome. Good for you for realizing before it was too late that things needed to change and compromises had to happen. Did this father handle things well? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not changing our wedding for my future sister-in-law? My fiance, male 36, and I, female 34, are getting married in 3 weeks, and for the most part, planning has been simple and easy. We're having a smallish wedding in a local hotel with 50 guests. Everything is being held on site. The ceremony, the dinner and the reception are all taking place in the one hotel. My fiance and I decided early on that we wanted the reception to be child-free. Children are welcome at the ceremony and the early dinner we're having, but not for the party afterwards. I, myself, have a 10-year-old son who will be there for the ceremony and meal but not the reception. The issue is with my fiance's sister, Lisa, 38, female. She has a daughter, Chloe, female 11, and has started insisting that Chloe be at the reception. Lisa is the only girl in a family of 5 children, and due to this, she has rarely been told no, even into adulthood. My fiance and I have been firm on the stance that no children would be allowed in the reception, and she is fully aware of the on-site childcare. We have booked a separate room in the hotel especially for this purpose. However, she is adamant that Chloe stay with her. If it was just me and my fiance, it wouldn't be too much of a big deal. We can handle her. However, she has begun hounding my future mother-in-law, whom I get on with really well, and has even begun messaging my mother on Facebook to try and get them to convince the two of us to let Chloe be at the reception. This is not okay with me or with my fiance. Neither one of our mothers are in the best of health and they don't need the stress. She either doesn't realize or doesn't care that if we allow her daughter to attend the reception, we have to allow all the children to attend, and we wanted to allow the parents to have a fun time in the evening. Even my son isn't going to be at the reception. We don't see them often. However, last Sunday, we were all at my future in-laws for lunch, and so the kids could see each other, and she decided to bring it up. She decided it would be a good idea to try and corner me in the kitchen, to try and change my mind. Once again, I reiterated that there would be no children at the reception, and well, this didn't go down well. I swear, she was close to throwing a grown-up tantrum. I've never seen anything like it before. I just told her that the little ones in the other room were better behaved than she was, and to grow the hell up, and walked around her back to the others. Her tantrum didn't stop. After this scene, my future mother-in-law asked if we would be willing to bend the rules we have for the reception for Lisa, but the two of us were still firm on the no. Usually, I would just stick it out and not care, and if she hadn't started getting other family members involved, but now that she has, it's beginning to stress me out. I don't think that we're being unreasonable with our request for no children at the reception, but I don't know if I can handle this for another 3 weeks. Am I the idiot for sticking to our child-free reception rule? Update. We got married last Saturday and everything went perfectly. Everyone and everything was where it was supposed to be, when it was supposed to be, and if there were any issues, I didn't hear about it. My older sister arrived a week and a half before the wedding, and she's like a miniature tornado when she gets going. She firmly told me not to worry about Lisa and that she would deal with her. I had no doubt about that. Lisa brought up Chloe coming to the reception once again the day after I posted, and my husband, I love seeing that, and I told her that if she tried to bring Chloe in, both of them would be removed. We didn't hear anything more from Lisa following that instance. A few people wondered what Chloe thought about it, and she told us that she thinks adults are boring and she'd rather spend time with her cousins and other kids. So there's that. When my older brothers turned up a few days before the wedding, all of them were laughing about how my sister was doing her guard dog routine with Lisa and wasn't letting her anywhere near either of us or our mothers. My sister is tiny, 4'11" and petite, but a powerhouse behind it. It turned out that my sister was the one keeping her at bay, and you can bet she got a very large bottle of wine and thanks. For my husband and I, the day was as close to perfect as it could get. We only found out 2 days later that Lisa had tried to sneak Chloe into the reception and had been intercepted by all of my siblings, I have 6, well before reaching the hall, and had been told that she could either send Chloe upstairs with the other kids or they could both leave the event completely. Knowing it would make her look bad and she'd never hear the end of it from her family, Lisa sent Chloe upstairs and has been sulking since. There have been a few passive-aggressive Facebook posts which no one seems to care about, but that's about it. So, no epic temper tantrum, no forceful removals of irate sisters, just some words from my terrifying sister, and that was that. Everyone had a good time, and when we went to check on them later, all the kids were passed out in positions that gave me aches and pains just from looking at them, so we know they had fun. I want to thank everyone again for their insight. It was very helpful and set me at ease that we weren't in the wrong for sticking with our rule. Not the idiot. I'm thinking your sister has a very profitable opportunity right in front of her. I know there are people who would love to outsource the entitled relative wrangling to someone, at least based on the number of times it comes up in this sub. Congrats on your wedding.